Breaking Barriers.
My name is Gary Bontrager. I'm your host at Breaking Barriers podcast. I'm excited for today's guest. Actually have a whole panel here with me. Jerry Sipes, you've been pulling probably before many of these kids were around, right?
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little bit what got you started and what pulled you into tractor pulling in the beginning.
Well, I was 15 years old, and I finally got my dad talked in and let me take the tractor to county fair. And of course I didn't have my license. I had to get my brother to haul it down there. And we had it weighted all wrong. Everything was totally different at that time. Of course, brought it straight out of the field and didn't even really soup it up none because it was no gas tractor. And anyway, that's where I started at.
So how far away was that? You didn't drive the tractor, you trailered it?
Right.
Really?
It was 15 miles from Greenberg.
Because I hear stories of people where they just drove the things.
Well, yeah, we could have.
What type of sled did you pull?
Back then, we had just a big old pan that people stepped on.
Had some blocks.
That might have been before that. That might have been when they threw the blocks on it. I don't remember.
Well, it was both people and blocks.
Yeah, I think it.
So when did you meet your wife? Was she part of this deal the whole way along, or is it tractor pulling that kind of drew her into you?
No. Actually,
I met him in this house we're living in.
Oh.
It was his mom and dad's place.
Okay.
We got it.
yeah, she was we was gonna be in my brother and his wife's wedding at that time. So she wanted to meet me, so she came here and met me here in the living room, and it just revolved after that.
That was the end of that story, huh?
We dated for several years because she wasn't but probably 15 at that time, so.
We got married.
Maybe not even 15.
I was 17 when I got married.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
2 weeks after.
So what advice do you have for young people? We're a little off topic here, but find a young one so you can kind of teach her how to do things? Or?
Yeah.
All right, so you started at 15 tractor pulling. What was the progression from then? Did you pull that tractor some more? Did you get into something different?
I think at that time, my oldest brother and me built no, I'll take that back. The next one I had was an old WD Alice Chalmer with a 396 in it.
Okay, you went the modified route.
Yeah. And of course we had all kinds of rear end problems with it. So it wasn't too long till I had to swap it out for a Massey rear end, 44 Massey rear end.
Okay.
And we tinkered with it for a few years, and then after that, I guess, that might have been when my brother and myself built that, it was an old co-op. We found that thing up in, in Indiana somewhere, I don't remember now where it was, and brought it home, went all through it, and we ran it for a few years, a couple years maybe, I don't remember.
What drew you to the co-op?
Do I?
Why the co-op? Was it just something that was affordable? Or?
It had 6-cylinder engine in it.
Oh, that's what you were after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, let's see, after that.
And you forgot the one up in the shop you're all still using that I drove.
Well, that was later on.
Oh, that was later? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
all right.
let's see now, I guess the next one I had was, well, I think the next one was David Bewley had a 301 Massey.
Okay.
Or 103 Massey. 103 Massey, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had a M&W turbo up on it and everything, and he didn't have a truck to haul it on, and I had the truck. So we kind of, I'd haul it, he'd pull it one time, and I'd pull it the next. So
okay.
We swapped up like that for several years, and after that, I guess I'm probably leaving some out.
Oh, that's fine.
But then I a 990 David Brown. We farmed with it.
Okay.
And we knew how to turn the governor up on it pretty good, so we'd go out and play with it on weekends and
Stay out all night. Come in when the sun's coming up.
And then,
Yes.
You were married by then?
Oh, yes.
yeah, by then we was married, yeah. I think we got married when I had the old hot rod, I think it was, yeah.
You built that one.
Yeah.
You always enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
Okay.
Till I got older, and then I'm getting where I don't like to travel too much. But yeah.
Okay, so it kind of
It was
turned
a
into a
family
family.
thing.
Okay, so you guys did a lot of it as a family. So then from there you ended up with what came after that then, after that Massey? You were back to your own tractor?
Well, that's when I had the David Brown.
Or the David Brown was your own?
That was 990. And then I traded it in, got a 1200 David Brown, and pulled it too. And I wound up trading it for this 806 that you took pictures of a while ago.
Which has got 1206 side plates on it, or decals.
Yeah.
And then did you change, is the motor still the 806 original motor?
No, I couldn't keep the 806 motor together, so it's got a 1456 motor in it.
Okay. And then did you do much with turbos and all that back then, or fuel pumps?
We would I think we found one a little bit bigger, put on it. I can't,
Yeah, because we would change that out on Fridays.
yeah.
And that's when you started getting involved.
Yeah, well, I was probably getting old enough then to
Kinda know what was happening.
because we had a helper here at the farm, and Dad and him would really be the ones. I was just kind of overseeing and make sure they did it right.
So how long did you pull that 806?
Till 80, we pulled it through 83, which was a bad drought year.
Yes.
And 84 did not have a penny to spend for nothing, and still don't have much. But anyway, we didn't run anything in 84.
Okay.
About went nuts. So in the January of 85 is when I bought the 560.
Okay.
And that started me on alcohol.
And you started alcohol right away with the
It was
560.
alcohol.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when you bought it, it was set up
Yeah.
already. Okay. How temperamental was that tractor when you started?
we had lots of bad words for it.
Because it was such
But
a new
we
thing.
finally figured
Nobody
it.
really knew much about the
Right.
alcohol.
Because
So
you were doing it in the 80s. There was a few that I found. In fact, I just interviewed a gentleman that started in the 70s already with some alcohol. But it wasn't, it was uncut, and you didn't get the same. If you got a batch one day, it was different than maybe the next.
and it seemed like people figured out the smaller cubic inch stuff, like the 301s and stuff, and seems like they figured that out way before the bigger cube multi-turbos.
Right.
But still, it was, if you had no idea what you was doing, it was,
Tough one. So with that 560, are you still running the same type of block, or is that all changed and you've evolved on cubic inches
No, it was 301.
when you started?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we, for the first year, we pulled our hair out on that thing trying to get it to run. Finally, we jerked every bit of wiring off and rewired it and went to running then.
Okay.
So there was a bug somewhere.
It knocked. That tractor knocked so bad. Yeah, it was funny. I could be standing on the sideline. I knew it was knocking, but I knew it wasn't going to come apart because we pulled it too many times. And people would go down like dominoes. They were laying down. It was funny to watch.
And it took a long time. It seemed like when it was knocking is when it was doing the best. And what we ended up figuring out was it was stretching the crank because there was only 5 main block, right?
4 main.
4 main. And it was stretching the crank so much the rods was hitting the side of the block because it was under such a load. But we knew when it was hammering, it was in for a good hook.
Right. Because I've heard that with alcohol tractors before. They'd come up and they're like, either it had a miss in it or something, and the guys were like, don't worry about it because this thing's going to go when it goes if you can get it wound up.
They are very, very temperamental, though.
But is it as temperamental today? It's not like it was back then.
No.
You can pretty much get it off the line every time
we've been around it long enough now, we can.
On a single
figured it out.
turbo, but when you start multi-turboing it and everything, a lot of boost, it changes.
It does
Yeah,
change.
it's still very temperamental
I just knew when that thing was knocking, we was going to win.
And we always did better in the 7,500 pound class than we did the 55.
Okay. So by the time the 560 came along, you were more involved. You were older and starting to help out.
we all was. You know,
Yeah.
we was always traveling. All the picture
Right.
shows we was all there. And
What was your traveling vehicle? Do you have a motorhome or something and you pulled the trailer? Or?
Oh, boy.
There for a while, every one of us packed in a single cab.
Okay.
Oh, we sat on top of each other.
There's 8 kids in my family. We could all get in a 4-door car.
it'd be very hard at our size now to pack into that truck. Yes.
And you weren't going to be using car seats and seat belts back then.
No.
Just jam yourself in.
Right.
It's probably a surprise that a couple of them wasn't thrown in the bed to ride.
Yeah. So you just had a bumper hitch trailer and
No, that's that gooseneck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's original out of that tractor today that you're still running that same tractor?
Do right now?
You're still pulling that tractor. What do you have left from that 560 that you bought?
The bell housing, the only thing left of it.
Okay. And the reason for
Well, the
that?
bell housing and the rear rims.
And
That's the
rear
only
ends.
original things.
Those are still original.
Yeah,
Interesting. You got some mileage out of those
Yeah.
things then.
yeah.
Because a lot of times those things don't, I mean, guys just change them out after
Yeah.
a while. But
Yeah.
you had aluminum rims way back then already.
Yeah.
Okay.
When Bill Johns built the tractor, he put a brand new set of rims and tires on it at that time, so.
Okay.
And back then, I mean, your tires had
Lugs.
lugs like
Single
that.
cuts about that tall.
Yeah.
You weren't spinning them like you are today, are you? Throwing dirt like you do.
Right.
Through all those years, when did you start to get competitive with that 560 in the beginning?
Probably the second year we had it.
Okay. And what were some of the big pulls you started to win?
Well, we went to Bowling Green, Ohio. I think that was the second year we had the tractor.
And is that
And got second place there.
okay?
That was, and then the following year, we were gonna go back again, and my wife's grandfather died, and we didn't get to go.
Okay.
And that was the last year that they had the 5,500.
Okay. And
Like
so
supers.
you only ran one class when you went to Bowling Green?
Yeah,
Okay. And so today you're not running a 55 anymore. It's right. It's what?
right.
It's different. I mean, they don't even have a 55
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, we run like
Yeah.
limiteds now and
Yeah.
on 6250.
Yeah, I think they ran, like in Bowling Green now, I think it's a 64, 6,500
Yeah.
pound class
And
now.
it varies if it's diesel or alcohol, possibly. In some areas they do.
Some areas, but I think in Bowling Green, they
It
stick
still
with a
runs the
flat.
same. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
So Bowling Green was the second year at the 560. All of you went up there? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was
Mom
big.
didn't like it much because of all the partying on the
Oh,
north
my
side.
word. I'm like,
What happened?
Hey, Mom was like this. Kids, don't look.
y'all remember? Well, I heard all the crowd start yelling. I thought, what in the heck's going on? And there was girls going down through there, and they pulled their blouse up, and I mean, I thought, I've seen it all now. And I thought, I took these kids to this.
Oh my goodness.
So he was all ready to go back to year 2. Right?
Had to talk her into it a little bit, huh, Jerry? Oh, shucks. When you got that 301, when did you start upgrading the motor and going to different size?
Well, we were stuck with the 301 until we built the tractor we got now. But we
know?
ran.
Trying to think of what year that was.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just heard you guys over there thinking.
But don't forget when you
But,
bought the second tractor.
We've tried a lot of different things on the 301. We ran 2 chargers for a while. First time I put 2 chargers on, I didn't know anything about stacking them like that. I put two the same size on.
Yeah.
And of course, it made a heck of a run until it exploded.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We
then,
staged, but not the right way.
And then after that, we figured it out and ran twin chargers for a while. And then that's when we built aluminum head to put on it. And Jeff built it here in our
On
own
the
shop.
manual mill.
And
You built your own head.
yeah,
Really?
I took some tube tins and glued them together and made a kind of a diagram, I guess you'd call it.
Kind of a try it out, but then when we got all done with that, we didn't know what the heck we was doing, so we just put the chunk of aluminum on there and I just took off. So
And started cutting holes.
started, yeah.
Grinding and, gosh, so you guys build your own motors yet today, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we still do.
Okay.
Except for the machine work, we still
Right.
do everything
You're not
in-house.
building the head anymore, though?
No, because you got to run the cast head and all
Right.
on them now. So
Okay.
Anyway, was that 2009, I guess, is when I built the MXM.
Okay.
And
that's when we went with the Cummins
yeah, we
engine.
went to Southern
Okay.
Illinois there first. Well, we was trying all winter to get the thing built, put together, and there was, I forget the first pull we were going to try to make. Anyway, we didn't have it together. So then I put it off to the next one and still didn't get it together. So then the Southern Illinois pull, where was that at?
Those the coins, wasn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, we finally got it together just a few days before it. So I didn't know what it was going to weigh or nothing, so we went to the neighbors, got scales and
Right.
weighed it. And we was pretty close to where we thought we was going to be, so we loaded it up and took off.
And actually won,
Yeah,
but
we,
burned a piston because we didn't have one of the injector line or the nozzles hoses tightened up, so it burned. It was it actually had something in the nozzle.
No.
I thought that was that one there.
No, we liked one slot making the finals and the first night. So we'd already loaded up, was heading home, and I got a phone call and said one of them had to drop out and wouldn't know if we'd be one hook.
Okay.
And of course, I don't know how far up the road it was, but anyway, I whipped her around and back down the road we went. And
So you missed the
wound up winning
qualifying.
it.
So you missed the qualifying spot by one.
By one spot.
and then somebody
Then-
dropped out, and then you came back and.
Came back and I changed the housing on the turbo and won.
Okay.
First weekend out with it.
Wow. So
I thought
it's been a pretty.
that was the one we burned a piston on, but
No.
I guess that was.
So that's been a pretty strong runner for you.
Yeah.
So why alcohol and not diesel?
I liked the way the 301, I liked the way everything
The setup on it.
worked, so we decided, well, we was gonna take the 5.9 Cummins and convert it over to alcohol and use
Right.
it on this one.
I mean, I know you get more power. They just said more
Yeah.
power, and that's the thing. That they're
Yeah.
also then you got to mess with them a little bit more. But I
Yeah.
suppose you get it figured out down to a science,
Yeah.
and it's not that big a deal.
Plus, it's a whole lot cheaper. You can build a complete motor for some of them guys put in injection pump, you know that.
I can't argue with you there.
And the thing is, not many people know the diesel stuff enough to make them run like
Right.
a lot of these bigger places.
Right.
You know, alcohol, you just, it's a lot easier to get that horsepower out
Right.
of.
So, tell me some stories that you were involved in when you were young. What's some crazy stuff that happened when you were involved? Because we're going to swap you out for somebody else here after a bit. When you were
Well,
young, getting into
some
that.
stories to tell about Dad that I've never been able to tell. But he was always a funny one when he got him out to pull. So
Okay.
we used to go to Tennessee and Alabama all the time and pull, and we got around Shirley Haney, which had JR back in the day. really tough runner and stuff. And him and Dad always hit it off, you know, and we was all, seemed like we was always in the same hotel stuff.
Right.
Well, I'll never forget
I know which one he's gonna
two
tell.
stories here. One time, Dad had decided that he was going to get some fart spray, okay? And while Dad was going to get back before Shirley and them came in, he was going to go in their hotel room and set it off. Well, as we go to the pool and we come back, it had released itself in our room.
Oh my God.
Dad had to call down. Mom and all was trying to get rid of the can and all that, and they're like, man, this place stinks. So they put us in a different room, so Dad didn't get to do it after all. So I remember that one. And then another time, we had gotten back to the hotel room, and Shirley and them was coming in. Our balcony to the outside was right where you walk in.
Right.
And Dad said, oh, I'm going to get them good. So he goes in there and he gets I think it was the ice bucket, and he put warm water in it. And as Shirley and them's coming in, his wife was ahead of him, so he had to wait for her to come in. And as she cleared, Dad sounded like he puked and dumped the bucket straight onto Shirley. And Shirley's down there hurling. He's about to puke himself. He done thought somebody got sick. So Dad was always one of those that just, you get him out away from the farm stuff and all, and he'd crack you up over the silly things, you know. And
But he wasn't that way on the farm with you kids then? It's time to
not
work.
like that. No. Now, the one thing he would always get us with was April 1st.
Okay.
He'd be, we'd get up to go to school or get ready to go out on the farm or something. He'd be like, oh man, there's something out in the field or something going on. And we'd all jump up and look. He said, April Fools.
Gets you every time.
And we never would remember that, as far as for the next year. So
he gets you again.
it was a lot of fun though. It taught us a lot of stuff and kept our family, tight. And
Do the rest of you pull tractors, take turns, or you're still in the seat all the time?
Well, for a good stretch, we did. That's why we called it family driven. All of us had drove it.
Our daughter.
And mom had drove this, but mom had drove the old 1206 at one
Okay.
time.
They had a women's class.
Had a women's class.
And that was common back then across the country. I found that in other states. They'd have powder puff or whatever.
Yes, in a sense, yeah.
So, but
yeah.
you never wanted to get in the seat of this one.
No.
I'm telling you, it's a rush.
I thought, I've got too many to take care of. I don't need to get myself out there and get hurt.
And the horsepower, that tractor made a lot of horsepower back then. But even like this class that we're in now, the Light Limited, the power range in it now is what the Light Super was 20 years ago.
Right.
So it's evolved so much,
Right.
and mom, she did it. I think she enjoyed it, but she just was like, I had my belly full, once was good enough. So
Still go to some of the tractor pulls though.
Yeah, and our daughter all of them's been on the seat of it. Every one of them's drove the tractor.
Okay. So when you first pulled that 560, do you know about what kind of track speed you had and what RPM you'd run? Or didn't they probably didn't
It was
monitor
slow compared to
that?
now.
Yeah. Because I even hear the super stock guys say that a single turbo guys probably had more power than what they had, because they had the lugs, there's no way they could spin, and you watch the old videos, they just don't have the speed.
no, you were just gripping. That's all you was doing then. Like now in the class, if you're not running 30 plus mile an hour, you're not going to be up front.
Right,
So back then, I would say
10, 12 mile an hour probably.
maybe 15 if you was lucky. But Billy, which you'll see him in a minute, he used to chase the tractor down the track, and there's some good stories there.
Yeah.
So everybody knew the Sipes was for Billy, chasing the tractor down the track. So.
They were really loose about letting things go. So when you bought the 560, was there a roll cage, fenders? What era were you in yet?
We had fenders. You had to have a fender that you couldn't touch the tires, I think is the way it was back then, but no roll cages. We did have to run scatter blanket.
Okay.
And of course, the good clutches.
So you went to these tractor pulls for years and years. You've seen people get hurt? Mm-hmm. What are some of those stories?
Well, a friend of mine David Bewley had an old John Deere had I forget, it was an old A John Deere, I think it was, I think it had V8 in it.
Okay.
And it came apart and went up in his hands and hit, there was a woman there, had a real young child, and he just barely missed the child and hit the woman there in
the collarbone.
Yeah.
She had actually just switched sides with the baby just before then, and it hit the side that the baby was on. So
Well, there's just safety has changed so tremendously from where we're at, and it's kind of frustrating because, I say it's frustrating because, I had to build a new pipe coming off the turbo this year or get a blanket, one or the other, but it makes perfect sense. So
I've seen them turn over.
Yeah.
well, and you really didn't.
Of course, I was in Louisville the year that probably the second year of Louisville is when that 560 International flipped over backwards.
Before wheelie bars, they didn't have wheelie bars back then, so you just.
But it looked like it just went up in slow motion.
And he didn't back off of it.
Well, they couldn't get it turned off because they didn't know where the switch was.
No guillotines, no everything was wherever somebody decided to put it. No fuel shutoffs. Were you pulling that year?
No.
So have you pulled at Louisville?
No.
Okay.
I put in a couple times in Louisville, but they wasn't running the light class at that time. It was 7,500. So, I know the one year there I'd put in, didn't get in, and some of the guys that I'd ran with all year wound up winning.
Oh,
And
really?
I've been beating them all year.
Yeah, you had the points that year, never got in.
But anyway.
So, and I don't know if you guys want to switch out or not. I mean, do you have any other stories you want to share?
Come on, you all, let's
I
get
can
in.
probably think of them, but those right there are a couple
main
that.
ones. Your name's Billy, right?
Yes.
So, where are you at in the order of the family?
Where am I at?
Yeah, you're the middle.
The
You're
very
the oldest.
bottom.
You're at the bottom.
Very bottom.
All right.
He's the middle one.
You're the middle child.
I'm the one they forget about.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in the same place you are. That's why we have to always talk, because nobody's going to know we're around if we don't. So I understand that. They were pulling as long as you can remember, I'm sure.
Well, way before I can remember.
Okay,
yeah.
so what tractor was he pulling when your earliest memories?
Probably would have been the 560.
Okay.
So that's probably what I remember the most. And the other thing I can remember, the old modified he used to have, there used to be parts of it. So up behind the machine shed where the shop used to be, there used to be the steering shaft, the front panel dash, and the steering wheel. So that's where we would go back when we were little, and we'd pull on that because it was on the metal rack back there. So you just sit behind the little frame and the wheel.
Pretend you're pulling a tractor.
It was good times back there. So
I didn't even
Is
know
anything you
that.
made it in your mind, right?
yeah, and then scrap got high and it left. So,
Yeah. That's kind of how that worked back in those days. How old were you when you first started pulling the tractor?
oh heck, I don't know. His memory's better than mine. I would have been, probably in the 20s, probably somewhere in the 20s, probably.
All right.
Yeah. None of us started real early, I don't think, in age. So we all had different adventures, whether it was derby cars or motorcycles or something like that.
Right.
So.
Some of you raced motocross or rode.
Well, they tried.
Right,
Well, they got motorcycles and played on them, so they got hurt. So, yeah.
Was there any qualifications for these guys till you let them in the seat, or they just started begging and you got weak?
I don't really remember.
I think you had to sign something.
No, I mean, as far as
Not at first, maybe. I don't remember.
Well, really, it just all started when we were all working on it. I mean, everybody was working on it. It just felt like, hey, do you want to drive tonight? And it just led to the next one, the next one, the next
Right.
one. And, then sometimes we took turns, and then just depends. So
Kind of became your payment for
putting in
helping out.
time.
Yeah, putting the time in on
the
it.
way it seemed.
And if they got ahead in points,
That's when
and
they could
if
do
it
it.
tore up that night, they'd bring it in and they'd work all night long, and then they'd go back, get ready to go back out again. And after a while, we found out that got to be a lot of work, because
Right.
he was, one time, how many times did you pull in a row and they put a bounty on you? They put,
Oh, that was when we was winning every night run out.
it wasn't fun then because people don't like you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That was light limited in the Battle of Bluegrass, so
Yeah, that was
that's
with
where
the
that.
tractor.
And that was with
now.
2 turbos?
No, that's
No,
the
that's
tractor
with the
now.
That's the tractor you have
5.9,
now.
yeah.
And they put a bounty on it, on you. So the Cummins motor, you built that or did somebody else build that?
We built
You
it.
built that.
Uh-huh.
You gonna share any of your secrets why the thing was so hot? No? They've caught up to you though by now?
Oh, yeah. Yes. they
How many
have.
years did that last?
It was probably,
6 to 7 years
yeah,
probably.
probably that
Yeah.
long for,
I mean, when it was built, it was advanced before everybody else started picking up on what needed to happen. Because a lot of people were still running the smaller cubes, and
Right.
some were tinkering yet but didn't have it figured out. And like that one come out, and it was just so far. I mean, honestly, back when it was running good, you could think of you stick somebody blindfolded on there and they could win. I mean, it was
Right.
just if you got the weight right, it was almost a give me.
Right.
And so everybody started joking them, done the bounty, and that's kind of how it went. So, but everybody caught up pretty quick. But it always happens in whatever sport. Somebody's dominant for a while,
Oh,
and
right.
then somebody new takes over.
And then it comes in and it changes and you gotta fight your way back again.
Yeah.
So, was that the most dominant period of your career?
yeah. Yeah, it was.
So how many pulls a year were you pulling back then?
Oh,
Oh my.
30, 40, maybe more
Really?
than that.
So you pulled with more than one association then probably.
We would jump around some, but if you run the points, I mean, there was almost 2 hooks every weekend, or sometimes there'd be maybe 2 through the week and still
Right.
hit 1 on the weekend. So you were gone all the time pretty much.
Do you guys still pull with bluegrass?
Yes.
Okay. And so they have that many hooks throughout the year in your class?
There's probably 20 something light limited hooks. I mean, we would jump around KTPA, Battle of Bluegrass.
Okay.
When it used to be Ohio Valley pulling,
Yeah.
I mean, there was several that we jumped around to.
Okay.
But then, someone started changing and rules, and like TNT added and then he pulled some TNT.
Right.
So then I think there for a few years he just hit what was close to home too, because
Right.
it just made more sense. So.
Right.
And that's pretty much what I've done the last few years.
So hanging behind us are some of these jackets and of course trophies and things, but the jackets are from winning points usually, right?
Right.
Most of them. How many series championships have you won?
Oh,
We can
I
start
don't-
counting jackets. There's 2 here, probably another 10 over
There's some
there.
laying over
that's
there.
no count, not counting the ones that I wore forever that wore 'em out. I don't know, it would be hard to say
It'd be
really.
easy to say it was 30.
Huh?
30 championships, you think?
Championships, I
Okay.
would think.
He was just saying probably 30.
Probably.
And then how many years? If you started that you competitive pooled, I mean, I know you started at 15, but from the 560, that was you saying.
560 come around in 80, 85.
85.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here.
We ran it
Wow.
until 09, I guess is when we built this tractor here.
So you're what? Yeah, geez, that's a lot of years. That's
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
So you've
Been
won.
around a day or two.
Well, I'm just thinking that's a lot of work too.
Yeah.
I mean, you put a lot of work and a lot of
Oh,
effort
yeah.
in, and I don't think people really understand what all goes into this. And I just want, if people are watching that aren't into tractor pulling, that's one reason I got into tractor pulling myself recently, and why I'm even doing, well, the reason I'm doing this is a little different, but I was more into car racing and motorcycles, and it's gotten so commercialized, it's very different. This to me still feels like car racing and other things did 40 years ago. Families work together on it, they go to the track together, and it still seems to be that way quite a bit. So that's always fun. just to see that and to be able to sit in here and you got your whole family around you.
Right.
You know, and those are where there's memories. I don't probably matter anytime you get together, things come up based off of that. So.
And it made it fun because we got to we got to know so many families.
Right.
And they became family. We were families. We helped each other. They would go help each other on the tractors. So it was a good time.
So what were some of your scariest moments watching your kids pull tractors?
Oh my goodness. I'll never forget the night. I forgot where we were at. That you said, well, you're going to let Jeff and Bernie pull. Where was it?
Temple Hill.
Okay, Temple Hill. And he told them they were going to pull, and I thought, oh my gosh. I just praying and praying and praying. And Jeff...
You pulled towards a creek that...
Yes, it's a bank. And he got on it, he was like this, and his foot was just shaking. I thought, oh my gosh.
So was this their first time?
That was his first time.
Okay.
Oh yes. And then he made it. So then I had this other one to get on it, and I thought, man, here we go again. I was just so glad when it was over because that scared me. And then the first time that our daughter pulled, Angie,
Right.
I was in a hospital with my daughter-in-law, his wife, and I was staying up there, and they went to the pool and they put her on a tractor, and they didn't tell me they were going to do it. So I found out afterwards.
That was probably better for you.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, she can tell that story directly.
Well, we can have her. What are some of your fun stories from all the years of tractor pulling? Either about your parents or just things that happened, shenanigans.
I think some of the funniest things was some of the other pullers, like Jay Fuquay was a prime example. He used to pull in the 5500 and he was in the 75, and we would throw the weights on and step up in the class and you'd beat him and he would just have a fit, you know, but a very good competitor.
Right.
Like the 1206, I can't remember back when you had,
I believe.
who was it?
Johnny
Robert?
Yeah.
Yeah, like over at Hardin County, he would beat him over there, and some of the pullers that would throw the fits. Like there was another one that pulled.
There was one Temple Hill where, what was the guys who run the Alice in the heavy class? They run a mod now. Shoot. Dad beat them and they said there's no way, and they came back, hooked the sled after the class was over and still couldn't beat that.
Oh, there's wrestlers.
So like the 5500 class, like back when we used to pull that, like Billy Long was really
Right.
hard to beat, like really hard to get around. But we could throw the weight on that one and move up the class, and then Jay Fuquay and all them were highly advanced at the time. But thing is, when it was 7,500 pounds, they didn't have no weight on.
Right.
So they couldn't control them. But so you'd have to take the 560 and load it. I mean, it'd be loaded to the top to the bottom, and it would hook into the track and just, it would beat them. And just, that lasted for a few years. So.
That was probably with your big lug tires yet too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you weren't, you were getting some good bite and it was just hooking up well.
Yeah.
What, were you one of the first to go to cut tires?
Well, actually, we ran cut tires like on the old 1206 days.
But then you went back to lugs on the 560.
It had little tall lugs, but they was cut back.
Okay.
That's just the way the tractor was when I bought it.
Okay.
And of course, as time went on, we kept whittling them down. And
So what got you started doing double cuts? You know about what era that was in?
We done them out here.
I guess that's
We done them out there.
the set of tires we got now is first double cut.
Yeah.
I tried, I took that one set and butchered them up
We
and
did.
made double cuts out of it, but it was about
The
a joke.
tires that are on it now that are double cuts came from Mark Pacing.
Okay.
Nobody
Okay.
ran 10s, and then we did. And they couldn't figure it out because Mark had ground everything off the side, so nobody knew.
Knew that there were 10 plies? Okay. So but you made your own double cuts the first time around then, just took
Yeah,
something and shaved into them? And
yeah, they wasn't very pretty when I got done with it.
Was that the era where you were winning all the time with this tractor?
No,
Oh, we went to double cuts.
when we went to double cuts. is
Was
when-
this tractor?
No, we actually had double cuts.
With a 301.
We had double cuts on the 301, yeah.
Okay.
Last few years we ran it. I don't remember.
I think we bought them from March of 2005.
Somewhere around in there. So we ran them a few years on 560.
Right. I was just curious
Yeah.
what those were. The 301 motor went away, and then when you got that Cummins head and everything, you bought it, got everything assembled. You guys did all that yourself.
Correct.
Okay. And then the ignition and figured all that out. Because there weren't too many around probably at that point in time yet. Were there that were running the Cummins?
No, we was probably one of the first that ran the company.
Yeah, I think it was one of the real, I mean, there might have been some people up north, just a few, but
Right.
down in here it was unheard of, so.
Okay. Because we've got a couple
Yeah.
in the association I run with at ECI that they've got an Oliver and a White, and they run a Cummins in them. And they're
Right.
competitive. Very competitive with it, so they got it, I think they got it figured out now, the alcohol stuff, but, so you grew up with it forever?
Yeah,
I mean,
I only remember the 560.
Okay.
I think when Dad bought the tractor, I was 4 or 5 years old, so that's all I really know. And we ran obviously we ran it for years, so
yeah,
pretty.
ran the 560.
We never really took vacation. Our vacation was going tractor pulling.
Okay.
We used to go down to Alabama quite a bit, 2 or 3 times a year. That's, it was exciting, get to stay in a hotel, with the pool. That was something we looked forward to at that age. And just as I got older and along with the rest of them, it just grew more to like the tractor pulling part of it
Right.
than, just going to a hotel and spending the night.
Right.
So it's just something we never
So when
done.
you went to Alabama, then you guys were following, like, you'd hit a bunch of pools probably. It wasn't just going down to one event and coming back necessarily.
I mean,
just
we
one
would hit it a couple,
events.
a weekend you could hit 2 or 3
Right.
pools.
But they'd be close together and you'd pick a spot
Right.
and there was a couple of them. So you started working on it ever since you were little, just like the rest of them?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, the other 3 are more hands on it than I am. I mean, I can do stuff, but between Jeff, Billy, and Bernie, I mean, they're pretty solid. I mean, I remember as a kid, I would be shooting basketball outside and Dad would be working late at night on the tractor. Jeff would be there, Bernie, and slowly Billy would come in
Right.
working on it as he got a little bit older. So, they're more the brains behind it. I'm more just there to have a help.
Did you
I guess.
drive it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
And you won,
we were
too,
coming
yeah.
back from, I think we was up north somewhere, and we was going to make 2 pools that night. So we wind up going to a pool. Dad, I believe, won that night. And on the way back home, we stopped at Bardstown, and Dad let me on it, and that was as nervous as I've ever been. I remember
So getting
my
married,
leg was just shaking.
wasn't that scary?
No, not at all. That was still the rush that you got
Yeah.
from it the first time. I can almost, it took everything I had to push the clutch in after it was over to stop the tractor. It was pretty exciting. So yeah, we've all had turns, we just went for years, when we went to, at the time it was Ohio River Valley, and we ran with them back in 09, 2010, and we won the points 4 or 5 years, and then Battle of the Bluegrass came along, and we started pulling with them more, and we won there for 6 or 7 years, 5 or 6 years, I'm not sure, but there was a total of 11, I think. Y'all might know this better than I do, but 10 or 11, 12 years we ran the points, or we won it. and we kind of got burned out. If you ask any of them, we kind of got burned out.
It was a job.
It's not being fun
Right.
when you're running for the points, and we wasn't enjoying it as much. We took a few years off and kind of just stopped, and we slowly now are getting back into it.
So you didn't pull it all for a couple of years?
But, I mean, very little.
Just
I
a
mean, we
few
were
here
not
and
hitting
there?
very many at all.
Okay.
I think that last year, the last year we ran for the points, I honestly think we broke or something. And you just,
I think it was between the 301 and the Commons. We took that.
Yeah, there was a couple of years there, I think we did.
we took some time off.
With that.
I mean, when you were hooking, 40 to 50 times a year.
Yeah, I can't
it's just-
imagine.
yeah,
That's a
it got
job.
rough. It got rough there, so.
All right. What were some of your thoughts when you put these guys on for the first time? Were you nervous?
Yeah, not really.
You weren't worried about them breaking it?
It takes quite a bit to make me nervous.
So you never got, your leg weren't shaking and you weren't all worked up like some of them?
No.
Or did you gradually work your way into it from years ago that it didn't affect you that way?
I don't think it affected me any. I think it just kind of fell right into it, I think.
Okay. You still involved in it then?
Absolutely, yeah, we all are. I mean,
Okay.
we're all older. We have our own families. It's a little
Right.
harder to get there, but we do make efforts to get there as much as possible.
Okay.
We all still have a passion for the sport itself,
Right.
so we enjoy it. I mean, it's crazy to think you would drive 2 hours to a tractor pull for 6, 7, 8 second run just to turn around, load it, and go home. I mean, but some people might think that's crazy, but I mean, that's just all we know.
That's just how it is. That's
Yeah.
life doing it.
Yeah.
So are you the one that always gets it to the tractor pull, make sure it's loaded and oil's changed, and that's kind of your
Pretty much.
deal?
There was a few times we took off with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
took
time
it.
or two I let y'all take it without me going.
Yeah, I've
Not
taken
very
it
many
once.
times.
And we still won.
You guys didn't screw it up for him then too much? All right.
And then he was ahead of the points one time, and you let David Burnett take the tractor and pull. And I'll be darned, we were at my niece's wedding, and we were all just sitting there, and Jerry kept looking and looking at his phone. And then all of a sudden, I guess it vibrated, and he headed out the door. He comes back in and says, "We won." And so everybody was like, at the wedding, everybody was excited, and it's like, this is
They
crazy.
should know better than to get married on the night of the tractor pull. That's something everybody should check. I mean, football fans, they make sure they don't hit those dates.
Yes. But it was funny.
Yeah.
I thought,
So, what are some other stories, Jerry, with the kids? Anything any of them did that you just shake your head and you're glad that it was over, nobody got hurt, or anything like that?
time to pull Angie in now.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I do have one.
Yes.
As Dad talked about back then, he had to pinch pennies to
Oh, right.
get to pulls. And I remember at times that Mom and Dad would tell us to get underneath covers
Oh,
and hide when we went in to pay, and we would have to.
we're Christians now. We don't do that. Back
We
then,
were then.
were we?
Yes.
Well, we didn't
So-
have it.
Hey, desperate times may bring
But
desperate measures.
I think it was $5 back then, whatever it was.
Well, right,
but back
but it
then, that's
adds
still a
up.
lot of money.
There's
I mean, you're
still-
talking
Having 5 kids, that adds up.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
No, I can totally relate to that.
And
yeah.
I could tell you I was nervous then.
You were nervous when you hit them under the blanket too? How many times did you tell them they were like under the age limit?
I
Since
think
we're
that's
calling
happened-
you out
I
here.
think that's happened plenty of times. Yeah,
I
plenty
think
of
that's
times.
I
absolutely.
forgot all about that. Oh my.
You were
I
gonna,
don't
That was,
forget it.
I know,
gonna go
I know
to-
now, that was wrong, so,
you were going to go to sleep with a clear conscience tonight, but I
Yes,
guess not.
yes.
Now you got something to.
yes, ask God to forgive me for.
Oh, that's funny. What are some others anything else you can think of?
I
That,
think it's something good.
Well, back then, something I remember at a young age was back then they didn't have a way to measure. The only way they had it was to have a crew out there with tape measures and a rope to know your distance.
Right.
That's how they found your distance.
Right.
And it's not like it is now that
Oh,
you
right.
pull and then seconds later you have
put a
it.
stake in, pull
Right,
everybody away.
right, and they had to measure it out,
Yeah.
just something I remember, a little joke on myself, I guess I want to tell, was, it's going to be quick. So we had another competitor go over the sled, or over the weight, checking his weight, and he pulled off, and then Dad came next, and I was young, kid, this is very small, and they start letting the air out of the tires. And I went over to Dad, I'm like, hey, they're letting air off the tires, that's going to change the weight of it. Back then I didn't realize that it didn't make a difference. And I remember that, like, I made a fool of myself, but yeah, I just remember the best times was when we was all together as kids. It seemed like it was the best times when we were all there together, supporting each other,
Right.
and really supporting Dad.
Right.
Yes, we're older, we have our own kids, but at the end of the day, it's very, we're still very close to
Right.
the pulling part of it, That's what keeps us pretty close.
And you understand now, looking back, that was kind of what was really something that everybody can get together behind. And I think that's, it's fun for me to see all of you together, because that's really what sports like that are about. So, but it builds
I
that.
got one more. I have to tell you this one.
He can't count.
Jeff, I'm sorry. We were going to a tractor pull, and Jeff was a teenager, and he did not want to go. And we were leaving the driveway, and Jeff opened that door as Dad was driving down the road and hopped out. And I remember Dad throwing it in park, or whatever it was, might have been putting the brake on or whatever. And he pretty much picked Jeff up and threw him back into the cab. And we went to the track pull that night, and we didn't say a word the whole way to the track pull.
That was a quiet trip.
He was like, I think he was old enough to drive. That's why I think he was wanting to go out that night or something. And
Right, I'm
Dad
sure.
was not having it.
Oh, no.
I don't know if any of you have kids that are teenagers, but I think as a parent, we've all been there with one of our kids at least one night. We've had You're the second one in line here, so you've been around and seen a lot of this stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done a lot of things.
Yeah?
Done a lot of work. They've got all done a lot of work.
But were you involved before the 560, or is that kind of when you started getting involved?
No, I've been into it. I mean, I pulled the 560, but I didn't never pull the 1206. I helped him on it, and I always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We done a lot of work
Yep.
to make it happen.
How many hours do you think you spent in that shop over the years?
There ain't no telling how many hours. His cheat book he had there for a long time that he had cheat notes in. They were after it for a while. We'd have different pools and about what the track would do.
Right.
We had weights at and all that stuff. They kept on wanting his cheat book, black book.
Who
Oh,
wanted
it
it?
wasn't cheating. It
Brad
just
Powell, man.
Oh,
keeping
the
more.
your competitors wanted to get a hold of it. Yeah. No, you keep those under lock and key. The fact of the matter is, it really wouldn't work for them anyway.
That's right.
Because your tractor, I mean, I don't care how you build those things. The weight's a little bit different front to back. The tires, you name it. It's just.
Well, they wanted to get it away from him, so he didn't have
Oh,
a cheat
so he didn't have
or to go back to.
Yeah, no.
Because with so many different hooks, we had to weigh it so many different ways, and
Right.
and what different peel in it we had and stuff like that.
So what was the first time you pulled it? Do you remember that?
No, it's been a long time ago.
Okay.
It's been a long time ago.
Can't remember.
Have you run it quite a bit?
And yeah, it's a rush.
Yeah.
Definitely a rush. Had a lot of enjoyment there though. I still enjoy going.
Yeah.
I got my grandson.
Did y'all pull it before? There was another tractor I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Larry Phillips and myself bought one together. It was his first tractor, the Insanity, and it was a diesel. And
What brand was that?
it was a 686 International.
I feel like I've seen old pictures of that tractor
Well,
somewhere.
I'm sure you probably have, 'cause,
It was a pretty hot ride at the time.
yeah. And,
And they still run Insanity today in alcohol.
yeah.
I'm sure I've seen the curve.
Not too far down the road here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I need to then corner him one of these times.
yeah. They would run it one time out. I'd let these two swap out. I never drove it.
Oh, you guys would drive the Insanity
Yeah.
tractor
Yeah.
too? Okay.
Yeah.
And was it an alcohol?
It was
No, it was a
diesel.
diesel. It was and then, I don't know, about 6 months, I guess. I could feel like maybe there was some conflict, so I thought, well, it's time for me to bail out. I sold my part to Larry, and
Oh, so you owned the 560 plus part
Half
owner of
interest
the
in the-
Insanity tractor, the 686. Okay. And they're still running that tractor, or some version. That family
a
runs one yet?
version of it, yeah.
Just like you guys are.
Right.
One thing we haven't talked about, when you were pulling that 1206, my guess is you were running a factory clutch.
Yeah.
And when you got to the 560, you couldn't have probably been running a factory clutch?
No,
Okay,
no, it
so
was-
what was the evolution of there, and what type of clutch now? Are you guys running like a pedal clutch or a slipper?
We run pedal clutch.
Okay. I hope that's not too much information to share
No.
with people.
No,
Some of them still running it.
I feel like I got better control with pedal clutch than I do
Because
the.
a lot of guys that I see are running the slippers in your
Yeah.
class. And
Yeah.
I personally run a pedal
Most of
clutch
them do.
too.
Yeah.
I like the feel of it. I just,
Right.
if I feel like my front end's not working right, I can come off quicker
Yeah.
or
Uh-huh.
ride it a little further and do things
Right.
like that. So, and then, but were you running kind of the same clutch system ever since you had the 560?
Yeah, we've added this to it, and
Okay.
it was, McLeod was the brand name of the clutch. It was in the 560 when I got it. And, of course, it just had 3 fingers on it. And
Right.
it wasn't too long till it played out, so.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, we changed over to the, Hayes.
Oh, okay.
We're Still running the Hayes
Okay.
now.
Seems a lot of people, they run the Hayes, and then a lot of people have the Crowder clutches anymore too, so. Any stories, any wild happen, you blow it up, what'd you do to it
Well,
when
we
you
got
were
all kinds
driving it?
of, Billy blew it up bad. But,
Well, you might as well tell the story, he's gone.
No,
well,
he's not.
Well, I mean, he's not on the mic anymore.
oh,
Okay.
they put through the rod, broke crank in 3 places, I
You
think.
took a picture of the oil pan up on
Yeah.
the wall with the trophy on top of it.
Yep,
Billy was pulling that night. I don't remember exactly what it was.
In
It was
Indiana,
Gordon,
Gordon.
or Lanesville, yes.
Lanesville, yeah.
Langley,
And the
Lanesville.
Lanesville in Indiana.
Indiana.
Anyway, he made his pull, was shutting down the throttle, and the motor came apart.
Oh my gosh.
But won the class.
But one.
So you were done for the night or the weekend and you're ready to head home
Well,
anyway?
we had, what's his name right there picking pistons up, taking them home so he can study on them. Oh, who was it?
Metro Coomer.
Yeah, he took them home and studied and knew exactly what ratio he had and everything.
That was a few long nights trying to get that, because we running points.
Yeah.
So you had to go get parts again. Well, I'm sure the piston was broke.
Oh, yeah. But he knew exactly everything about it.
He was. So that's how they learn your secrets. Is you blew up, they were checking out your things.
Yeah.
And that was the 301 unit.
No,
that was-
Oh, that was the Cummins.
Cummins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had 2 or 3 of the Cummins come apart, but I still go back with it.
Yeah.
I started to the last time change over to the international block, but then I decided I was going to hang in with the Cummins.
Hey, you know what works, right?
Well, you remember, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You remember when a hurricane didn't even stop us. But because Hurricane Danny was coming in. Here we are driving down the road, and I thought, this is
We
not a
was
good
in
idea.
Alabama that time.
And it was lightning and thundering and raining and,
Across the road behind us. That's when the tornado crossed the road.
oh yeah, it hit
front
right
of
there.
us.
So he's just saying a tornado crossed across the road
Ahead of us.
Ahead of you.
We didn't see it.
No.
But it had done
the
crossed.
past a
Yes.
little bit ahead of you.
Yeah.
And
But you
then,
didn't know where to go. I mean,
Right.
it was there and it gave the warning, but you didn't know where to go.
So, how many years ago was this? About what time frame?
15 years.
Kids were little?
they were all with us. You're all,
Probably 86, 70, somewhere.
Okay.
I know that where our room was, it was on the bottom floor, and the water was right out the door, so we knew that it could get us. And I can remember that one of the kids wanted something to drink. We always took a cooler with, our drinks in it, and they'd roll their pants up and they'd go out there to get something to drink out of the truck. It was funny.
You probably weren't pulling an enclosed trailer or anything back then.
No.
So, with alcohol, did you get it all dried out, or did it cause you trouble the next day? You ever have trouble with it getting wet?
We never had any trouble with it.
Okay.
Getting wet.
Well, we didn't think we did anyway. It may have caused some. We just didn't know
Right.
it. The old the magneto, it didn't leak like the ones does day and time.
Okay,
They were all sealed up pretty good.
right.
So-
Okay. I was just curious because you run through all that rain.
Right.
Never know what happened. And you were still using a single cab pickup.
No, at that time I
Totally.
probably
And Dooley.
had a crew cab dually at
You're
that time.
stepping up. Kids are getting bigger. You have more room.
And it was still
Yeah,
packed.
we didn't run the single cab very long.
Right. Yeah,
It was getting too dangerous to try to follow us all in.
It still was when we had the dually, because y'all put that extension on it, remember? And on the way home, Billy's wife would climb up there on the back of that,
So we had a little sleeper
Yes.
on the
Oh.
and she would crawl up in it and she'd sleep all the way home. I can remember that. Oh my goodness.
So what are some stories that you remember as a kid doing all this or teenager?
We was down in Tanner, Alabama that time when we done something to the motor on Friday night. We worked all day Saturday to get it back together. And right before the pool, we was torquing the head down and broke one of the bolts off. So, who was it? They had the bolt for the roach. It wasn't roach. It was they had the old international. No, we didn't have to take the head back off. We got lucky because they had a little snaggle sticking down on it. Took the washer off of it and stuck it back down there and unscrewed it. Went and got another boat and we hooked that night. It was a big job though. I mean, but yeah, we still enjoyed it. It was a lot of good times. And then about Fox. Fox always done some kind of stuff to us at the pools. Put the mouse trap or the what did he always do to us? Tim Fox. Remember that? He always done
Yeah, he
something.
put something in a bag. I don't remember what it was.
And then you put it on the tractor?
Yeah, he'd hang it to the back bar or the hitch to it or something, and say he's gonna get us tonight. And just a little game we played back and forth.
Right.
We had a lot of good times. It was enjoyment. It was all the pool is a family thing.
Right.
And everybody would pretty much help everybody out if they needed it.
Right. So, any grandkids run the tractor now? Do you have any old enough that are doing it?
They would like to.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely got some old enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just haven't got the opportunity yet, is what you're saying.
No.
We may be dead and gone before they get to
I
do
guess
it.
these kids think I'm getting old and I ain't gonna have too many more years. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
bet they get the seat every time now.
Okay, so you're back in control of the situation now.
Yeah.
Well, it's his only hobby.
Right.
He's never had one. We used to want to go hunt and Dad would do it. He didn't want to. And then finally he just threw the keys to us and you gotta take off, go hunting. But
You're old
outside,
enough.
I mean, that's the only hobby he's ever
Right.
done.
Yeah.
So you no other hobbies, no fishing, no hunting. You just either farmed or pulled tractors
That's it.
and chased her around.
Raise kids.
Raise kids. Yeah. So did you pack lunches and stuff a lot too, or did you guys usually buy food
Well,
there?
we used to take stuff,
Yeah.
food and stuff, but then.
I've heard stories like that. They kind of make a picnic.
But then we
lunch.
got where different ones would cook or something, and
Yeah.
then we would all
Bring-
stuff and put in, and we'd all eat together, and it was good times.
Right. Excellent.
And I think that I really liked it with the Tom McConnell's pools. I mean, he could get, well, what is it, convinced to do something else by 2 or 3.
So he was the promoter?
He was a promoter.
Okay.
But it just seemed like it was the best times for me.
Okay.
We just,
He put on good events, is what you're
Yes,
saying.
yes.
Well, he was the one that actually started out Battle of Bluegrass.
yes.
Okay. And so you still pull with Battle of the Bluegrass?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah. Gotcha.
We run some with KTVA and TNT. But
Yeah. What else do you want to share with the crowd?
I don't know. We've been through a lot, and just
Okay.
I can't remember them all.
All right. Angie's with us now, so we've gotten through all of them. This has been interesting. It seems like you've been sitting there wanting to tell some stories. I'm sure being the only girl,
better be
you've got to
careful.
have a few that these guys picked
Yeah.
on you and what have you. So
Yeah, they picked on me a little bit, but it's been great times. So I guess some of my memories, Mom always making popcorn. So she
Okay.
did. She always made homemade popcorn for every tractor pull, and every once in a while we got lucky and she might make a blackberry cobbler to take with us a few pulls, and we still had other family though. Even Uncle Jimmy that we lost a few years ago. I don't know how he always knew where the pools were and came. I don't think he always would show up sometimes, and it was always great to always have him with us too. But I guess our most special time too, though, was we always took time to pray. Prayed for safety for Dad to pull or whoever was pulling and other pullers. And so
did you do
those
that
kept
like
going.
before you left or at the tractor pull?
At the tractor pulls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we
that
pull.
was always before we pull. And even if Mom don't go today, did y'all pray? That's always something that's very important to them. Is that we always
that's good.
pray.
That's part of the family unit, and that's important.
Yeah.
So.
And then if anybody was around, we'd ask them if they want to pray with us,
Right.
and they did. Some of them
Right.
got in the circle, and it's just something we did.
That's nice to have that camaraderie at a pool like that or at any event. It seemed there for a while. Those were things that were too acceptable, and it was today. I feel like we had more freedom in doing that than what we maybe did. It was kind of concerning for a while. So it's nice to know that you guys as a family did that. Sometimes you feel isolated in some of those things, but. What are some other memories? I know you got in the tractor seat. Your mother was not there. Is that why you did it that night?
Well, I didn't even know about it. Apparently, my oldest brother Jeff did, and Dad. And so Billy's daughter, Mally, was in ICU, or in the NICU. And so they couldn't have cell phones on. They had to have the cell phones off. So I didn't know till we got there that I was going to get to pull at Hardin County that night. And maybe Mom wouldn't know either. So.
Right.
I got in the driver's seat and I was nervous and I killed it.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, I killed it both times,
Yeah.
So they were my 2 attempts. So then they let me come back into, after the pool was over, and then I got it down the track that time. So Jeff got on there and tried to coach me. I remember that. And so
Right.
that was an awesome time. So
Yes.
Okay. Had you driven it any other times?
yeah, it goes with the story, Billy.
It was a
blowing
winter
it up.
pull, too.
Yeah, I got on it, had a hook, because they tell you if you got on it, you got a hook. And then I got nervous and shut it down and in the middle of the track. And so then Billy took it out the next time, and that's when the story came. He blew it up, and it was all my fault that he blew it up. Even though he had a winning hook, they swear it was because I shut it down the time before. So I still get blamed for that,
Loaded
but
the
that's
tractor
okay.
up or something.
So those are the only 2 times I got on it. And
Okay. And you had your fill. You're good now.
yeah, I'm good. I'll just
Okay.
stay and cheer along and make sure Dad always has somebody to go with him and everything to get to the pools and stuff. So.
You were wanting to share another story or two when you were sitting back there. You remember what those were?
Well, there's one about the fire suit back here, and
Yes.
I remember that watching Dad going down the track, and y'all said the fuel line busted and the fire coming up, and him getting off the tractor, and he was on fire, and tractor was on fire, and then there was no firemen. They were still.
They were back in the
Yeah.
back, and they were just standing there, and then And they started grabbing their tags, started walking, and I thought, they're going to let this tractor blow up before they get to it.
But was it dark out? But even if it's dark, okay, because
No.
alcohol's really hard to see. Like if that was diesel
It was
fuel,
during
you'd
the
have
day.
a lot of flame.
Yeah.
That smoke.
But alcohol is hard to see the fire.
Right.
I've seen that before because I was on the county fair board, and I mean, sometimes guys are like, "What's the big deal?" I'm like, "You better get moving. It's a hot fire."
Yeah, if you actually grab the
scorched
fire
it.
suit,
Yeah,
you
it
can see where it
scorched
scorched it.
We'll show that here,
And then so he got back on the tractor, grabbed the fire extinguisher, put himself out, put the tractor out before the other fireman ever got there. And so
Now you know why
he
you
got
carry
it
your
out.
fire extinguisher,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and but I remember hours later because I usually got stuck between mom and dad up front, and his leg just being so hot. Hours later after we left there, I remember how warm it was. So the fire suits are very important. So, and of course, all the safety features they're doing more and more is important. So.
Did you? But you didn't get burned. The fire suit did its job that night.
It did its job. My leg got real hot, but it never did peel or anything. So
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Counted your blessings that night. Did you
Yes.
pray that night?
Oh, but I was praying when they happened, I'm sure. I don't remember, but I
You got
probably
busy in
was.
a hurry. So, what are some other memories here? Like any pranks with your brothers, anything like that?
I wasn't the prankster, they were.
Okay.
But I remember even when you let Larry pull the tractor for the first time, I guess Larry's the only one that you've ever allowed to be on the tractor other than us kids.
no, Dave and Ed drove.
Oh,
it.
that's right. You
And,
said he took it out. And then Larry, but you said Larry smoked how many packs of cigarettes that night that he got on it?
Yeah, that was at Temple Hill,
There was Hopkinsville Sunday afternoon.
Tompkinsville. Yeah, it was okay. It
Okay.
was on Sunday afternoon, and Larry him and his wife had been going watching quite a bit, and
So he's just a family friend, Larry is?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
and anyway, he like I said, he'd been going quite a bit watching, and on that Sunday afternoon, I didn't give him any prior warning or anything. It was getting about the time for the class to start. I said, well, this is your time. So I handed the fire suit to him, and he got on it, and that's,
That started his passion.
yeah, that started him. And
He got the fever. But I mean, he had his hands on he didn't have it on the steering wheel. He was holding the fenders.
fenders.
Oh,
And,
really?
and his
Yeah.
wife and I were going, oh my gosh, she's going to.
Finally,
down the
finally he
back.
turned it. No, finally he was in the hole, and finally he realized what he was doing, so he grabbed the steering wheel.
Oh, he was
And
just
there was
waiting in line.
there was
to
a
get it.
fence. At the end, remember, it was a gate that was open. They
Yeah,
had to go through,
had to go through
that. And I thought, oh, this is not
So
good.
when they were pulling, you had to go through the gate?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was narrowed up right at the end.
Yeah,
So that made me a little nervous.
but that got him started in the pull. Right after that's when we bought the diesel together. Then.
Okay, that's 686.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you started them basically getting
Yeah.
pulling.
Yeah, now he's got, 3 tractors?
4
4 tractors.
Tractors? Wow.
Three light supers and
light limited.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So anybody else you got started in the pulling?
Not directly, I don't guess. There was probably several other people that started because we
Right.
were pulling, but
Right.
as far as me actually getting them started, no.
So in this area, the guys you pulled with the most, are you getting to be one of the guys that done it the longest?
Well, a lot of them have turned it over to their children now. That was Alan Moore and all them. They're more of them turning it over to their kids to pull
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah.
they're on the sidelines.
Yeah, I'm probably the oldest one around.
So if you ran alcohol, and I did a podcast with this family, but remember the levee leaper? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just shot one with them a while back, and gosh, now I'm horrible with names. I can't say his name. The old man. At 84 years old, they had him on their other tractor, the Savage tractor, and he won the class. That was the last time he pulled.
Okay.
That was a pretty cool event to see. But that family, they both run alcohol, and now the old cockshut is still running the old cockshut motor, but the other one has a Cummins like you do, which would, well, it's a cockshut, but it's a red like Oliver.
Right.
And it's running this Cummins, but that whole family has a very similar story. I mean, they just did that,
Right.
for years, and they're still doing it. Now the grandkids are starting to do it. So
Now you got to go to meet. You got to go to meet now. He said he was
Yeah.
80, 86,
84.
84, yeah. So you got to
We're
go.
gonna
You
be-
got to get past.
How old are you?
77.
Oh, you got a lot of good time. Yeah.
Well, I
Ivan Carroll, that's who it was. That,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
his
yeah.
boys and grandkids are now pulling it, and it's just a
Right.
wonderful farm family in
Yeah.
Missouri there. So,
Yeah, I can remember when we were at a pool one time, and Henry Piper, I don't know how old he was when he was pulling. Do y'all remember?
He was 90 or close to it.
He was still bringing himself to the pools.
Yeah,
he was still bringing
coming.
himself to the pools.
And he said, I just get up on the tractor and I look at the lines and I try to stay in the middle. He couldn't see
they
real
couldn't see
good.
too well anymore.
And then when it'll be raining and he's right beside us, he's loading up, and I'd have to hold the flashlight so he could see to get in the tractor. Well, he'd have to back it up and he'd have to just rev it up and get up there. I mean, I thought, oh my gosh, he scares me to death. But he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, they
Did it for years.
They were good to us, the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's some of the longest distances that you ever pulled?
Last year, when the sled wasn't
Good. I want to hear that story. The sled didn't work right, he's saying.
Well, but they didn't have it weighted near right.
No, they was way off on their weight. And
So, what was the thought you had at mid-track?
I thought, I'm not going to good run.
The thing is, when you're running, you don't realize you're not going to get hit by the sled. This day.
You kind of know where you're at, that you expect it, but yeah.
You went, I don't know.
400 feet probably.
Did you shut it down, or
Shut it down.
Yeah, I finally shut it down. Because I was getting ready to get clear out of the...
It was getting into the grass.
Well, in Meade County, you remember we drive to a sand pile, and it was a bank and then sand pile, and a few times he put it up on the sand
Put it
pile,
in
and
the
that was some of the
pile.
biggest smiles we got out of him, hometown and win, and putting it on the sand pile.
Yeah. You always like to put it up in the beach,
Yes.
don't you?
Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of these outdoor tracks. Okay, so your longest pull was that situation, but when you started pulling, they probably had 300 feet, and then you would come back and do pull-offs, right? Okay,
Which still should be that way.
that's what you think?
For the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know why they don't, because we don't have radiators and cool
Right.
them down, and you'd have to have enough time if you're the last puller and you couldn't get your tractor cool. I mean, if people are wondering, at least that's why I understand they don't do it anymore. But you're right, there were guys, there were nights when you were pulling up to how many classes?
3.
Yeah. Sometimes we run 3 classes.
With the 560. So,
Well, most of the time it's just 2 classes with it.
but the 55, 7,
Yeah, 55 and 75.
and then what was the next one though? We'd pull up into was it 9,500?
There was a 95, and we didn't try it but once or twice. It was just too
Too
much.
much?
Yeah, you
Okay.
didn't put any weight on it either, I don't.
Yeah,
You
we
did?
hung weights
Okay.
all over.
Oh, I don't remember
Now,
that.
back when we was running the old 1206, we would, we usually run it in 7,500.
That's pretty good to get a 1206 down to that.
Yeah. And anyway, there was one night there in Brandenburg, we started out at 7,500, 9,500, 10,500, and well, we up to 12,500, and we had more. No, we had as many weights hanging on as what the truck started out as in the last class.
Yeah, because I thought you told me you were in like the 15,000 at the end.
14,500 or something like that.
something like that.
We had as much weight hanging on as what we started out as, and won every one of them.
Well, oh, you did? You won
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
So you kind of had a knack to make horsepower all along.
yeah, everything just worked worked real good on it.
So when you were
We had a set of cut tires on it.
okay,
Yeah.
and the unique thing, and I will get that picture up on it too. A lot of people use old like pressed dual rims. I see you just made your own.
Well, at that time we ran to pull. We made we had 23 130s and a real light set of rims. And that's how another way we was able to keep our weight down on it.
Right,
Of course, we took all the cast top and everything off of the rear end and
right.
made a plate put on there.
Yeah, that's in that picture. I just for the audience to know, but you made your own rims.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
When did you start tinkering with stuff? When you were a kid with lawnmowers, or it wasn't until you got into the pulling that you started messing around with getting horsepower out of things?
I was probably 20, 18. No, we got married. I was 20 though, wasn't it?
Yeah, you was 20. We got married, I was 17.
I guess it was before that.
You used to race your car. You take it to Highway 60. I think that gave him he was already had a little racing under his belt.
Yeah.
So instead of racing cars, you went to racing tractors.
Yeah. Real street racing.
Inline racing. Anything else you want to share? Any other stories you can think of?
I'll probably think of something.
I'm sure you will. That's always how that works.
Yeah, you always think of something after it's over.
I remember one of the maddest times you were at me.
Oh, don't tell that one.
Oh, go ahead and tell it.
Let's see which one you have. I know which one I have is when GPSs came out and you had the semi and trailer then. And we were going up in Indiana, Ohio somewhere, and GPS took you the shortest route, not the semi route.
Oh.
You threw that GPS, you were not happy with us on that trip because it took us down some side roads. I was like, I don't know. That was when they were the TomTom,
Yeah,
whatever they were.
TomToms.
Oh man, he was so
Garmin and
mad at that
TomTom.
thing. He was like, I need a map. And he's still the best map you can have. He's better than any GPS to getting us to a fairgrounds.
Well, I can remember, where was it at Temple Hill when they first started pulling? They had a tree in the middle of the track down there, close to it or something. And it was so curvy to go down there, the roads. I thought, man.
Well, there was one track at Temple Hill that actually went around a hill. It was curved.
The track was? So you had to go
That's
around.
probably the one, and they had a tree there, that's why.
A tree.
A tree.
I don't remember the
Oh,
tree,
I
but I
do.
remember the curved track went around the hillside.
What are some of the tracks you pulled on? It was always worked up dirt and they tried to get a clay base for you, or did you end up on anything?
Actually, we pulled on gravel a few times
Did you
at
really?
Brandenburg when the track was down in a dip there, and it would hold water sometimes. And there was a few times there that they had a great big rain the same day, and instead of calling it off, they went up in front of the buildings on the gravel driveway around through there, and that's where we had to pull at.
Oh, wow.
And
So
people
they put
were
it on.
beside us, beside
It's a wonder
it,
somebody didn't get hurt there. But anyway.
So when you were pulling all those years, you clearly could hear the crowd. You probably can't so much with helmets like you can
No,
today.
you can't
Was that a
hear it.
rush that always got you fired up, or
Yeah.
you enjoyed that, I guess, and the crowd got
Yeah,
into
'cause
it?
there was several years there we pulled, didn't even have to wear a helmet. The helmet that really didn't come along till the 560 did, I guess.
Yeah, probably in the.
Yeah.
I think it would have been late '80s, probably when that started, maybe early
Yeah.
'90s. What were some of the accidents you've seen? The worst ones?
Well, I've seen some of them turn over. Well, there was, that was last year before last, at Litchfield,
Last year.
was that last year?
What's that, Luke?
Anyway, there was one that he got out of sorts and up on one wheel and finally just laid on over.
But he was belted in and everything.
He was belted in, he come out okay. And then Well, the year at Owensboro, when
Oh, yeah.
Tom Dixon.
Tom Nixon,
Tom Dixon.
yeah, he made a real good pass, and when he got to the end, he was unresponsive, and he wound up down.
Larry Phillips
While he
got
was-
up there and helped, got him out.
Yeah.
While he
ambulance
was on the tractor, he had a heart attack. So how'd they shut it down at the other end? Did he shut it down yet? Or did the sled operator?
I think the sled operator had a shot.
On Tom?
Yeah.
No, Tom had actually pulled. He backed up, they unhooked him, and he pulled about.
That's right, he pulled off, he was pulling off the track
And
when
the
it,
tractor stopped.
Yeah.
It had a slipper clutch. So with it.
When he let off the throttle.
When he
Yeah.
came unresponsive, tractor was sitting there, so.
Just for you listening, because you're not mic'd up, when he pulled away from the tractor, or from the sled, he had a slipper clutch, he let off the throttle, and that's when the tractor stopped, fortunately, because he had a heart attack, and that's when he died right there on the
Yeah.
track.
Well, they didn't pronounce him dead till the hospital.
Right, I'm sure,
He
but
was unresponsive.
unresponsive at the, yeah, so.
And he had Tom Dixon had the old Screaming Demon, 686 diesel.
Okay.
Really tough runner.
A Screaming Demon 686 diesel. Excellent. We'll have to look that tractor up some.
yeah.
No, you make a lot of good memories and a lot of good friends over the years doing those things. Stories like that, unfortunately, are part of it. I'm sure Tom was doing what he loved. And, I guess there's probably no other better way maybe to go
Yeah.
if that's really something you truly enjoy. But want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Breaking Barriers podcast. It's been a real pleasure to have Jerry and his whole family, your wife, with us here. If you like this episode, please hit the subscribe button, follow us, and share this so that others like yourself can watch it and enjoy it as well. Thank you again.
Breaking Barriers.